It's good. Yeah. So just should we check on bar so it's okay? So let's go out here. And probably okay, so that's the one we had earlier. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're good.
Oh, but Jason, there we go. Jason. So now we're caught up.
Okay.
We left our thing on the bullet board.
I did it.
No, we signed it last week.
Maybe just the age before you started. Your hand's not good.
Running around like crazy. This is about 30 CAs. These first 6 months.
Excuse me, everybody. Just to let you know, we're going to get started in about 5 minutes. And if you'd like for some hot tea and iced tea at the back, about yourself, but we're going to get started in about 5 minutes.
Hi, how are you? Good. Good to see you.
So are all these taken?
I think Fiona's sitting here, but it's just Fiona. That's it. Who's here? Yeah, we just. Yeah, for sure.
So have you been doing this for all along?
We just setting this stuff up for.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it's just some side stuff I do. So, so yeah, I just thought I'd help them get things set up here. But yeah, it's a good first step for us. I think we can.
Big time. Well, that's good.
Yeah,
That's excellent.
Oh, it's a super nice camera. It's super nice.
It's the small one.
Yeah.
That's because the camera is huge.
Yeah. Oh, you have an EO? Is it an EOS or a Rebel or something?
Okay.
Is it a Rebel?
EOS.
Or EOS. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are
6D.
Oh yeah.
So well, the rest of the lenses are not very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is for the field. I'll be right back. I
Yeah,
need a
sure.
All right.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. We'll just give the last couple guests a minute to sit down and then we'll get going on our presentation and our AGM for the year. So just a couple quick housekeeping items. I can't stand too close to that speaker, I guess.
Who are you?
Who let her in? Okay, so just a couple quick housekeeping items. We are live streaming the event on Facebook. We have we here every year. Tuesdays and Thursdays are soccer days, so we have some family and residents that are doing that, so they're not able to be here. I know.
You're really dark.
No one needs to see me. No. So we're live streaming the event, and then the whole world can chime in and know what Haysboro is up to. So the other part is we have a lot of motions that we go through every year at the AGM. The board of directors has been given a script, so they will make the motion and do the seconding. If you really want your name in the minutes, you can dive in, but don't feel like you have to speak up. That'll just help the evening move faster through some of those technical parts of the evening, and then we can get to the good stuff, which is telling you everything that we've been doing. All right, I think we're good to go. Perfect. Okay, so I am Freddie Brennick, and I am the president here at the Haysboro Community Association. Thank you for coming. We're going to just move through the agenda, which I should follow. So I guess we have to call the meeting to order. Check. We don't actually need a motion on that one. So the next thing we need to do is an adoption of the agenda.
I motion to accept the agenda as presented.
All right. Can I get a second? Okay, all in favor? And that's when you vote. If you've got a yellow card and you're a member. Perfect. Okay. Good. See, we're totally gonna get this down. Where are we at? Motion. Okay, so last year's minutes have been circulated. Pretty straightforward. Most people won't have had a chance to read them, but the board has, which is great. If anyone has looked through them and sees any amendments that need to be made, we can bring those up before. So can I get a motion to accept the minutes from June 6, 2017?
I motion to accept the minutes from June 6, 2017.
Thank you, Marisol. Can I get a second?
A second.
Thank you, Sonia. All in favor? Yay! Okay. Woo, okay, perfect. So now we get to go through the good stuff, and we'll get back to the voting in a little bit. I didn't actually ask if there were any other items to add to the agenda. So if you have something and there's time at the end, we'll definitely add it on. So that's it. Okay, so first, everyone has to get out their phone. So like for real, pull your phone out. Pull it out. Make sure you're following us on Facebook. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Make sure you use the hashtag Haysboro. And make sure you invite your friends. when you go home tonight, your job is to invite, at least on Facebook, invite 5 people in the community. Because I actually went through the other day through all my friends, and I was like, oh, all these people, they don't like the community association. So your job today is to find 5 people who can like us, or spread the news, or retweet something, or comment on our Instagram post. So that's your only job other than holding up your yellow card. Okay, so first we have Constable Robinson here. So he is our community liaison from CPS, and he's going to give us some information for the neighborhood. That's all good-ish.
Yeah.
It's all good-ish.
Even one incident is not a good one usually. So, do I need this, or can everyone hear me, or
We need it for.
you need it for recording? Okay. So, as always, I hope if anyone has any concerns or anything, they bring them forward to me. And you don't just have to meet these meetings. I'm available at any time. My contact information should be on your site, as well as any newsletters that are sent out. I do work out of the District 6 office, which is over here at Heritage Bonaventure. So as always, I typically sort of go through the criminal stats that happen in your community. I do sort of vet them somewhat as far as some of the thefts and shopliftings that happen along the McLeod Trail corridor. But as far as last year, basically from 2017, 06, which was the last one we did, until today, break and enter offenses into houses, you had 10 in total. Break and enter shop, there was 52. I will go into those details a little later. Theft of vehicle plate, 21. Theft of vehicle, 37. Thefts, just general thefts, 5, and then car prowling offenses, 28. So I sort of separated the car prowling and license plate theft incidents there. So in total, there was basically 258 reported incidents, and that was broken down into typical property offenses as far as thefts, car prowlings, the general, not all that. They didn't actually give all the accidents, collisions, and everything that happened along Oval Drive and McLeod Trail in the community. Out of those 258 reported incidents, 153 calls were basically related to the residential and the LRT corridor. Out of the 10 break and enters, 9 were forced entries to a door or window. 1 was unforced. That was put into that category. There was an incident where someone had a little bit too much to drink, and I think they didn't realize what house they were going into or where they were. And it was quite a scary incident. There was a lady at home who this guy dive rolled through the front door and everything on her, so it was a little bit upsetting for her, but we were actually able to deal with that guy, which was nice. So, and out of the shop break and enters, these include detached garages and the parkades. The parkades that are along Haddon Road, Horton Road, sorry. There was quite a large incidence in there where people were basically getting into the underground parkades, and as soon as they enter a security area, it's considered a break and enter. And then obviously targeting vehicles and in parkades there. 43 were unforced entry. That's basically them either sneaking into the parkades or whatever, and then 9 were forced. That also includes detached garages and everything that were left unlocked. Stolen vehicles. 10 stolen vehicles with keys. 22 were basically unknown or forced, so they broke in. Some of the vehicles we have are pretty easy to steal. And 5 related to the LRT parking lot. And then car prowlings, 15 unforced. So that means basically people have left their vehicles unlocked, and 13 forced. So that's basically items visible. And one thing, you hear it every year from me, but I can guarantee you that probably every night through your community, there's at least one person that's walking through the community, checking door handles and looking for unlocked doors. If they see any valuables in the vehicle, it's faster than having a set of keys for them to get in there. It takes them no time at all. So please, secure your items. We're also coming into the summer season where people are leaving windows open, leaving them overnight. Make sure you have those extra security bars where people can't slide them open. Get to know your neighbors. We have those get to know your neighbor cards. I didn't bring any tonight. I meant to. I apologize. It's just a little box where basically know your neighbors, and that's where a lot of these communities are great, and where we see people coming out, getting involved. You people know your community, and you know your neighbors, and you want to be involved. But we depend on people to protect themselves somewhat, and we also we also depend, on the community to be our eyes. We would love to be out here patrolling and being security guards, like throughout the community all the time. Unfortunately, it just doesn't happen. We're responding to calls, and we're responding to those calls where people are phoning and saying, there's a suspicious person in my neighborhood, they don't belong, or I'm not sure what they're doing. You know, we even get the calls with, there's a guy with a red jacket on, looking over people's fences. We typically know that's probably NMAX.
Yes.
We would still rather go out and see that, yeah, this is NMAX, he belongs here, he has the proper badge, and hopefully you get that phone call back that says, thank you very much for the phone call, but he's there checking the meters. Does anyone have any questions or concerns for me?
With your statistics, is there an increase over the previous year?
You know, I tried to pull the stats from the year before, but I can only get 2015-16. I'm not the most techie guy, so somewhere I lost them somewhere. And the numbers are actually down. There was basically, like I said, there was 153 calls reported that involved the community. In 2015-16, there was 196. Car prowlings, there was 108. You know, so a lot of those numbers are down. You know, that car prowlings might have gone on with the license plates. And it's, crime has gone up in the city. Like it has gone up everywhere. That we've seen some downtimes. We've seen a real increase in, you know, people with addiction issues. I get myself in trouble quite often. I know addiction issues are a completely separate issue, and these people are struggling. They are. It's tough for them. But we see a lot of the panhandlers and everything out there, and people are. They have the heart in the right place by hoping to give these people money and get them the help they need. But we are very lucky in the city. We have a ton of resources. We have the Source, which is a place we drive people downtown and say, you know, here's this group of, you know, members in our community and resources have gotten together to get you the help you need. They'll get them into rehab. They'll find them housing. They'll find them work. They'll do whatever they can. And it's a terrible analogy, but just giving these people money, it's like feeding the wildlife. And I'm not calling these people animals. I'm not. But if they're able to get that fix, right? Then they're gonna continue to do it. And these people collect hundreds of dollars a day. Like they're not doing well on the street whenever they're getting the change. And we've done it. And like I said, people have their hearts in the right places, but we have people giving them $20 bills, you know, and those kind of things. And I get it. We want to help these people, but that's just not the right way. You know, we have the other resources in place that they would, you know.
So I do feel like quite a bit downtown, and when I go into the way it's set up, it really does smell like a homeless shelter. And so I'm curious, do you find there is a higher crime rate at the LRT late at night, or, because I feel safe when I'm walking in there, it's just the smell sometimes is a problem. And I'm not sure about cleanliness, if that's more the city's question than your question, but for safety though, do you find the crime is higher?
We have a safe community, we do. And when people, you feel confident, you feel comfortable, right? If you walk into some place, and you're not gonna make maybe, you know, if there's a place that you say doesn't look right, or there's a group of people over there, you're probably not gonna walk, you know, through them. You're gonna walk confidently, you're gonna walk around them. But unfortunately, we have a lot of people who might have their head down, you know, looking at their iPad, not walking confidently, and they're, are you? Because that's a target, really, right? You need to be aware, and unfortunately, as part of my job, like I'll back into a corner where no one's behind me, and I observe, right? And I see the troublemakers, like the lady in the blue shirt. I picked you out right away.
That's
Yeah.
a spot right there.
I knew, as soon as I walked in. So we do have a safe community. A lot of the violent crimes that we hear about, we find about, generally it's people involved in certain lifestyle. If you're gonna go downtown and buy illegal drugs, you're gonna find yourself amongst a group of people who will victimize you.
So basically you're saying that the crime rate is not higher because of the sheltered LRT?
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't think so. And a lot of people complain about the BRT, right? They're like, you know, I know that was a touchy issue for a lot of people, but
For safety?
No, and I think they were just worried about the increased traffic and, they were saying, because if you look at our crime stats, you could almost follow a lot of the dots in the map along the LRT track,
Oh, I see.
right? But people get on the LRT, yes, there is monitoring, but it's somewhat anonymous, right? There's no driver. Like you get on the VRT, you're walking past the driver, like people see you, there's person with the phone and contact security and everything right there. LRT can somewhat be a little bit anonymous, like you can, and when it's not busy, like anything, that's why they want to make downtown vibrant, right? Have people using it. When people are around, it's like shining a light into an area, and it's, people who are doing bad things don't want to be seen, and they don't want to be involved. See, you invite me to these meetings next.
I know.
So-
Totally, I was supposed to like.
Yeah. No, so please feel free to contact me. My number's there, and if anyone has any questions, I'll stick around for a bit and we'll maybe answer those for you.
See, this is why we have a big plan to redo Thornton Road,
Yeah.
right?
Would not be
It's
great.
called crime prevention through design. Maybe Sonia will touch on it. All right. Okay, I put up this really flattering photo of myself. Thank you.
Just lying to people.
So this is to say, if you see that purple helmet whipping around the community, that's me, because I'm always on my bike in the community. So that's why I put that one up, because that's probably how I'm most recognizable, especially in the spring, summer, and fall, is with my purple helmet on. Anyways, this past year's been really great. I really enjoyed the role of president, and I met a lot of great people this year, and I started hearing a lot more stories, and I just really have grown to love Haysboro, I think, more than ever. So I just want to share a couple things with you. So I've heard multiple instances about people moving across the country, about people moving across the city to come to Haysboro because we have events going on, because we have a natural playground, because we have a vibrant preschool, because our schools are doing well. And I think it's really a testament to, yes, we have a building, and yes, we have a physical structure, and yes, we have nice homes that have been kept well and nice yards, but really it comes down to the testament of the people that are in this community and the time and the effort and the hours that are going into making, the programs, the events, our schools, such vibrant, wonderful places to be. And I think that has sort of been the thing that's resonated with me the most over the past year, is getting to know everyone and getting to, touch base with a few more people and hear their stories and get to know why they came to Haysboro and why they're staying in Haysboro, and what the decisions they're making to make our community better. So I don't want to talk much more. I want to move on to share all those really good things with you. But just a huge thanks, because I pretty much am looking around the room and every single person I see is doing something in their neighborhood, doing something for our neighborhood. And sometimes I also think, because I'm just going to go a little longer, is that you're going to see a lot of things that people have given their time to, but I think what also makes our community great is some of the things that Councilor Robinson talked about. You're looking out for your neighbors, right? You're collecting their mail, maybe you're hanging up bags at the dog park for your neighbors because you have extra plastic bags. It's those small things too that make our neighborhood really great and make this a really good place to live. At the casino, that was kind of, so for those who worked at the casino, I worked an evening shift, and that was kind of the theme about all these small little gestures and all these minute things that we do, and we are so neighborly. So I think I can say without a doubt that our mission of fostering friendly neighborhood connections runs deep throughout the community. And we're going to keep striving for that and keep doing more. So that's the gist of it. So Miriam gets to talk now, and she gets to tell you what a great financial position we're in as a community. She gets to talk on some of the projects that we're going to embark on, and all of the good stuff, money-wise, because that helps us be great as a community.
Hello, am I speaking loud enough?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try not to speak too loud then. Because I usually speak without a mic, so give me the high side if it's too loud. I'd like to start with the treasurer's report. It makes reference to the financial statements, the audited financial statements. There's page numbers where appropriate, so you can follow along. I'm the treasurer. I've had this role for a long time. I'm pleased to work with the existing board. It's been a fantastic journey for me. So this is the high point of my year with all the culmination of my work. So I'm always proud to present. Is it Chloe? I kind of needed both of my hands. It'll be. Okay.
This is not my job.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Anyways, let's proceed. I'd like to start with the independent auditor's report. This is the financial statements prepared by myself. This is the auditor's report. They're the people who audit it. They're independent of us. We use the services of CPA at the FCC. She's a very, very nice individual and very confident in her abilities. Anyways, the auditor issues her report, or his report, and the auditor has said that in her opinion, she stated these financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the Haysboro Community Association as at March 31st, 2018, and the results of its operations and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for nonprofit organizations. Our relationship with the city, we have a license of occupation with them, that the property that the building sits on, they require that our financial statements are audited annually by a CPA, so we are having them audited to meet a requirement under the license of occupation. It also provides us good information to have somebody extraneous look at them and provide their comments. We'll go on to page 3. That's the statement of financial position. It looks at your assets and your liabilities. The association has unrestricted cash balances of $178,000 and investments in the form of guaranteed investment certificates of $163,900. The details behind the GICs are shown on note 3, page 8. It just lists the different maturity dates. It's sort of laddered, set up with maturity dates, not all in the same year for our protection against changes in economics and stuff. The existing cash reserves are, and that would be our unrestricted cash balances and our GICs, are used in our day-to-day operations. The intention of the association is to utilize the investments to fund life cycle renewal projects, maintenance projects, and any contingencies that arise during the course of our operations. This association has restricted assets of $179,900. As indicated, they are restricted in what we can use them for. If you look on note 4, that's on page 9, it will identify what the restricted assets are comprised of. They include unspent casino proceeds of $4,900, unspent community facility enhancement program grant proceeds of $125,000, and unspent enabling accessibility grant proceeds of $50,000. These are all restricted, that's why they're kind of classified together. They're restricted basically by source. The casino proceeds can only be used for approved purposes as determined by the Alberta Gaming Commission. The funds related to the CFIP and the Enabling Accessibility Grant are to be used for our upcoming cladding project. They cannot be used for anything else. If we were unable to use them, we would be required to return the funds. Anyways, that's why they're identified as restricted, because They have many strings attached. Property and equipment balances include all capital expenditures recorded at cost less accumulated amortization. Successful grant applications from the city, the capital cost, capital conservation grant program in the amount of $300,000. The provincial CFEP grant, we have had it approved for $125,000, and $50,000 from the federal enabling accessibility program. These will provide a significant amount of the funding for the upcoming planning project. This project has been in place for several years as we finalized the design and used the initial cost estimates to apply for the above 3 grants. We have just gone to tender with a proposed construction start date of summer 2018. So it's finally happening. We're very excited, the people on board, the people on the committee. Anyways, that's a kind of a summary of our assets. I'll continue with our liabilities. Our current liabilities relate to operations and will be paid for out of cash on hand. The current liabilities are relatively small. We have accounts payable of $10,000. We have some deposits we received related to programs. We have some deferred income, again, money we've received, but the program hasn't completed, so we don't recognize the revenue until it's completed. And the final item in deferred liabilities is something called deferred cash contributions. Now this is also identified in note 4. It represents the liability of the restricted asset. I mentioned if we don't use the restricted assets as we intend, we have to give them back. Well, this is the representation of the liability. So it's exactly the same as the restricted asset. It's $179,800. So the majority of our current liabilities relate to operations. They are very small compared to the cash balance. We are very liquid. We are solvent. We are able to pay our debts and satisfy our obligations, which is very important for an organization. Let's see. The next large item on that statement of financial position is something called deferred contributions related to property and equipment, and it is discussed in note 6. It includes basically grant and casino proceeds that we've used to purchase our capital assets, less an accumulated amortization charge every year. As you can see, I mean, the numbers are great. We've made extensive use of grants and casino proceeds to purchase our capital assets. That's why there is such a large balance there. It is amortized in the offsetting direction of the amortization charge related to the capital assets. That's how it reduces itself off the statement of financial position. And the balancing figure is the net assets, of course. It's a mathematical equation. The difference between assets and liabilities is your net assets or your equity position. Are there any questions on the statement of financial position before I go on? The next page is the statement of changes in net assets. The most important thing I find in this statement is the amount of capital assets, of property and equipment that are purchased with unrestricted funds. Again, our unrestricted funds are, they have no strings attached. And what we try to do is we try to preserve them and obtain grants or use casino proceeds as much as we can, use somebody else's money to purchase our assets. We protect our unrestricted assets because they have no strings attached. We use them for things we choose to use them for. As I said, we try to make extensive use of the grants to fund, like a lot of our projects are large projects. If we spent our unrestricted funds on the cladding project, they'd be all gone. The planning project has a cost of about $500,000. So, I mean, it's important that we source out other other money available to nonprofit organizations to do the things we want to do to our facility and to our programs, our parks, et cetera. It's all through grants primarily that we've been able to do that. As you can see, the amount we spent out of our unrestricted funds in the year is very small. It's $5,400. So most of our projects we're using, as I said, other funds that are available to us. They take a long time to do that way because you have to apply for them, you have to wait to hear if you're successful, but it really is the way to go to carry on into the future. Are there any questions on the statement of changes in net assets? The next statement is the statement of operations. That's on page 5. Our facility revenues have increased approximately 5% to $80,000. That is the highest level they have ever been for us. I mean, we continue to try to grow our rental revenue. It helps support other programs and things we want to do for our community, as well as it helps to pay for our operating costs. This is primarily due to an increase in rates this year. Our memberships continue to be an area of focus for the association. We continue to direct our board efforts to increasing community engagement, which we consider key to the growth of the community association. Our programs and entertainment revenues include revenues from many individual unique programs and events. They're provided primarily to encourage community building and engagement of our members. Details for revenue and related expenses are shown in Schedule 2. That is on page 13 of this package. I'll just bring out a couple of highlights. The seniors snow removal and lawn care program continues to be popular amongst community members. It's one of our flagship programs, generating gross revenues of $35,600 and related expenses of $33,800 with a net surplus of $1,800 to cover the minor capital expenditures related to the program and some level of general administrative costs related to the program. We've run this program for a long time. The purpose of it is to try to allow the seniors to stay in their homes by providing affordable lawn care and snow removal services. We use, to some extent, youth in our community to help do the work. Anyways, we're very proud of this program. It's really had a long life, and it is very important. It doesn't generate a huge amount of money. That's not the purpose of it. It is to, as I said, the purpose is to allow people to stay in their homes if they wish to. Our second big program is our preschool program. Preschool revenues net of related expenses were able to show a reasonable surplus of $13,900, as shown in Schedule 1, page 12. This surplus really only relates to direct costs. It is the revenue generated less what is paid to our instructors, our supply costs, our advertising costs. There is no facility costs. They have a dedicated space in the basement. They're not charged rent. They're part of it's a program that our community is proud to operate. It has its own entirely volunteer committee that runs the program. We have a couple of very great teachers, a couple of very great substitute instructors to assist when somebody is unable to come or is ill or has a vacation they have to go on. It's a very close-knit community of people that allows it to be very successful. We're very proud of our preschool. It's doing some great things. Carrie Urban has gone above the call of duty in developing our preschool and helping address the needs of some children who need more assistance or may have some issues that need to be identified. That's happening at the preschool level. It doesn't happen in all preschools. It definitely is trying to help the parents and the children that attend our preschool. So as I said, she's done a wonderful job developing that as well as the program itself. So that's about all that I'm going to discuss regarding our programs and entertainment. We'll go back to the statement of operations. The next item I'd like to discuss is contributions from casino. We have utilized $36,000 from our casino, the proceeds towards our operating expenses. So we are quite reliant on our casino to allow the facility to operate. The balance of the casino cash is used to fund capital expenditures. Thank you very much to anybody who volunteered for our most recent casino. We are very dependent and grateful to you. Our total revenues on this statement of operations are comparable to the previous year, excluding the effect of the natural park grants of $69,980 that are recognized in the current year. The natural park grant is the grant funding we received related to phase 2 of the natural park. It has a corresponding expense below in the expenses of exactly the same amount as we paid for the park. So that's all I'd like to discuss about our revenues. Go down to our operating expenses. They're up $79,000 over the prior period. The primary cause of this increase is related to contributions to the natural park of $69,980. So the majority of the increase in operating expenses is offset by the revenue related to the natural park. Other ongoing operating expenses have increased to some extent. The community association has experienced a sizable increase in its utilities of about $6,000. The other increases are reasonably nominal, so I haven't identified them specifically. It's an ongoing effort to try to control the expenses and keep them in line with the revenues, try to generate a little bit more revenues to cover rising expenses. It's just like your house. I mean, there's never quite enough money to go around. It seems like no matter how well you do it, there's always something that happens. I mean, we're a nonprofit organization. We don't make any money per se. We are providing engagement, fulfillment within the community association and the members in a variety of different ways. The next item on the statement of operations is the annual amortization of property and equipment, which is $59,000. This is partially offset by amortization of deferred contributions related to property and equipment of $46,000, which is related to the grants and the casino funds we utilize to purchase the assets. These two items do not affect our cash flow. They are the result of our previous year's costs. So they are important, but they're not a cash item, which is important to remember. The association's excess of revenue over expenses for the year ended March 31st for non-cash items is $5,530. That's much more of a cash number. Again, it includes amounts from casino that we've utilized of $36,000. So, as I said, it's a constant struggle to keep everything in check. We are pleased with our performance, but it is there's not a lot of extra to go around. Are there any questions regarding the statement of operations? Finally, let's see, we've got the statement of cash flows. The statement of cash flows just shows how we utilize our cash. For the year ended, that is page 6. For the year ended March 31st, 2018, the association's net cash flow from operations was $70,000. Net cash flow from investing activities is $35,000. which includes the following. The association spent $15,000 on property and equipment this year. It's a very small year for us. We were getting ready for our cladding project. The association redeemed GICs in the amount of $49,000 in preparation for the cash needs related to the upcoming cladding project. We have to upfront some of the money. One of our grants, a $300,000 grant, is awarded to us after we spend the money, so we're amassing the capital to upfront funds. That's another benefit of having some level of savings in the bank, is you can go into big projects like this, because not all the money comes up front to you. CFEP, the federal grant, came to us upon approval, so we have the money in the bank. The municipal grant is paid after the fact, so again, it gives us the freedom to do the big projects. Net cash flow from financing activities of $68,000 primarily represents use of the casino fund on hand at the beginning of the year to fund operating expenses and the use of casino and grant funds to acquire property and equipment. That's what's in the financing activity. The association's net increase in cash during the year ended March 31st was $173,000. Again, we're getting ready for the big capital outlay for the cladding project. Are there any questions on the statement of cash flows? Finally, there's the, starting on page 7, there's the notes to the financial statements. I'm not going to go through them all. I've addressed some of them as I've gone through my report. The notes are an integral part of the financial statements. They describe the significant accounting policies followed by the association, as well as provide other relevant financial information. The schedules that I refer to are behind the notes. They also provide information to help you understand what's in the financial statements. This concludes the presentation of the Haysboro Community Association's audited financial statements for the year ended March 31st, 2018. Are there any questions anybody has?
Great. So can I just get a motion to accept the treasurer's statement as presented?
A motion to accept the treasurer's report and audited financial statements as presented.
Thank you, Stephen. Can I get a second? All in favor? Perfect. So Miriam also needs to make a recommendation to appoint our auditors for the following year, so she'll do that now, and then we'll do that motion.
Currently, for the last few years, quite a few years actually, we've used the Federation of Calgary Communities as our auditors. They really have specialized, they've really stepped up to the plate and specialized in audit work for Calgary communities. Audit work is very expensive. We are currently paying about $4,000 for our audit services. If we were to go out into the market, it would probably be 7 or 8. It's professional services. It's like going to your engineer, it's like going to your lawyer. There's a whole host of procedures that have to be followed and reporting that has to be completed. The auditors, the CPAs are governed by their own body. I'm a CPA, I'm proud to say, and I've been one for a long time, so I'm part of that body. The FCC, probably 10 years ago, really noticed the need to specialize in nonprofit accounting and auditing. There's a lot of communities out there that do not have in-house expertise, such as we do. They need help with their accounting, and they are required to be audited based on the requirements in their licensed occupation in the city. So anyways, the FCC has filled that void. They have increased their staff, the people who sign the audit reports and the staff that provide the accounting and do the assist with the audit work itself. I've been very pleased. I felt very supported by the FCC, by my auditors. If I have questions or I'm uncertain about something, they are a resource for me. For these reasons mentioned, I would recommend that we appoint the FCC as our auditors for the upcoming year, 2018-19.
Can I get a motion to appoint the FCC as auditors?
I motion to appoint the Federation of Calgary Communities as auditor for 2018/19.
Thank you, John. Can I get a second for that?
I second.
Thank you, Sonia. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Miriam. I know that's a lot of work that you do, especially this time of year, so we really appreciate it. And I'm sure we're making it. Thanks.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you want the money?
No, I'm sorry, I don't know why that little thing is in the bottom, that's not where it's supposed to be right now, but that's okay. But I just wanted to say, I wanted to give a shout out, thanks to Jason. Jay's worked actually, Jay's been our membership director this past year, and he's put a lot of effort into connecting with our business community, and through some of the events and programs that we have hosted. We've developed a really great network of help to support us, and so those are just some of the people. Those are kind of the major ones who've helped us out this past year in our events and programs. So thanks to them. Okay, Sonia is going to take the floor next, and she's going to give us some updates on planning, and we'll go from there. I'll give you the microphone. There you go. Now, just nod to me, not for long.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sonia Celine, and I am the Director of Planning and Playful Development in Haysboro. We've had a great year with our planning committee. I think we are 7 strong now, and we're looking for even more people to step forward. There's a lot of planning that goes in to Haysboro right now. And our vision, so let's back up a little bit. Our vision for Haysboro is a healthy community, a lifetime community that meets our needs now and in the future. And that's kind of what we're aiming for when we make comments to development permits that come up, when we try and be proactive and get ahead of things in our neighborhood. We're trying our best. We have some planners on our committee, but we also have some people that are just passionate and learning, and there are a lot of great resources through that same group that does our auditing, the Federation of Calgary Communities, offers the courses. So you don't have to be a planner to join our planning committee, you just have to have a passion for making your neighborhood better. So please come and chat with me after, and we'd love to have more people join. You're not committed to show up to every board meeting, but you would like to add some more people onto our planning list. Planning includes traffic as well, which is increasingly becoming heated in our neighborhood. So we're looking to get ahead of that as well and be more proactive. Next slide. Courtney and I have gone down to City Council at least twice, not 3 times in the past year, to make comments in public on some of the applications. And Haysboro is unique in the fact that we don't have an area redevelopment plan guiding development in our neighborhood. So it's really important that our planning committee puts those insights that we as residents have that the city planners may not have. It's really important that we comment on those and gather comments from residents too on some of the more contentious development that's happening. We have we focus on Horton Road and Haddon Road, as Courtney mentioned, kind of the gray belt in our neighborhood. We can focus on the negativity, but we can also see it as a great opportunity for redevelopment and for revitalization in Haysboro. We have Heritage Station on one end, and it's bookend with Southland Station on the other side. We're seeing a lot of TOD, which stands for Transit-Oriented Development, happening along that corridor, so up to McLeod Trail, down to the C train tracks. And we're trying our best to piecemeal and force city, maybe not force, but suggest to city to look at the off-site amenities, the infrastructure that's lacking in that area particularly, that if they're going to approve these higher density developments, they also need to put money back into our community, into infrastructure, into connectivity, into sidewalks, into bike lanes, into better roadways, all sorts of things. We have train tracks that run and cut through our neighborhood, and it's a challenge to get over those. We want to become a multimodal neighborhood where you can choose to leave your house by whatever mode you choose that day, whether that's as a pedestrian, as a biker, as someone who's riding transit, or in your car. But you need to be able to have the infrastructure to support that choice. And right now, again, we have some opportunities to make it better in Haysboro. So we've been fortunate to have some planners do a lot of community visioning and forward thinking with our neighbors, our neighborhood, our residents. One of those was the EBDS students, and a lot of you in this room came out, and thank you for taking part in that last spring, where you gave your input and drove that community vision. So that's the top right, and as you came up the stairs tonight, you can see the legacy of that project. That beautiful wood map of Haysboro has been hung, and thanks to Kirk Hillman for the beautiful craftsmanship that went into hanging that as a legacy. We also had, and this was done kind of quietly, we had a university in the Netherlands through the Safe and Smooth project look at Haysboro simply using Google Earth. They didn't come over here until they were presenting their project, and they came up with some, again, fabulous ideas. So look to our website in the future. It's not there now, but for some of these ideas to get us thinking. And on your travels, look and say, what makes it more comfortable where I am when I'm in Saskatoon, or when I'm in Vancouver, or Toronto, or London, or some other places, small little places. What do they have that we don't, and how can we bring that to Haysboro? Some of the challenges in our neighborhood, we're definitely seeing, our neighborhood was built, so 1958 to 1960, 2 years, really fast. The developer at the time did their best, but they didn't know that we were gonna own 2 cars each. They were thinking 1 car per household. And so they did their best, but our neighborhood has some challenges, and our community schools are no longer community schools necessarily. They bus in a large amount of their school population, and so that adds a whole other challenge that we're seeing, especially around 96th Ave right now. This is seen, I was talking to Constable Robinson about this earlier, this is seen all over the city, and he said not many schools, or not any schools, are doing this really, really well. So again, opportunity for us to fix this before someone gets hurt. And I mean, this is top of mind with what happened in Acadia 2-3 weeks ago. Someone crossing in a crosswalk was hit and killed. And we're volunteers and we're doing our best, but the need is there, and I would hate to see it come to that level anywhere else before we can enact change. And so Councillor Farkas is in the room tonight. I would encourage everyone to go and chat with him afterwards and let him know that this is a priority for Haysboro, that we would like to see some money from our taxes go back into fixing our roads, and not in a grand way necessarily. Let's find a cheap way to make it so our children can bike and walk to school safely, even with all the cars that we have in our neighborhood. Bottom of the screen is some ideas that Courtney and I have been, and some of our other, John as well from our planning committee, have been going to these think tanks where we're learning about some simple ideas that can be done to make those crosswalks safer, to make cars pay attention a little bit more for our streets that were designed for cars and are too wide in some spots. So how can we narrow our intersections to make pedestrians more visible? Like this. So wouldn't this be lovely? Our neighborhood is not a strolling neighborhood necessarily. Our sidewalks kind of force us to go single file. But wouldn't it be lovely if we had a nice pathway through our neighborhood? We've joined a coalition with 6 neighboring communities, associations we are part of, we joined because of the McLeod Trail strip. But we all face the same challenges in our aging neighborhoods of tiny sidewalks, lacking infrastructure. And one of the things our grand vision we'd love to see is a pathway that connects the Bow River to the reservoir pathway systems through the heart of Haysboro and Acadia. So if you want to make something like that happen, that's a reason to join our planning committee. If you'd like to see the cut-throughs in our neighborhood into the alleys a little more beautiful, that's a reason to join our planning committee. If you'd like to see our neighborhood change from 50 to 40 kilometers an hour, which came out of our visioning as these streets are not designed, or they don't function well at 50, so maybe we can go 40 if we all agree that that's a good idea, and maybe it only adds 1 or 2 minutes onto our day, but it's worthwhile. That's a reason to join our planning committee. If you'd like to see our bike racks at our schools full, that's a reason to join our planning committee. This was just an example of one of the fabulous things our planning committee has advocated for and has come to fruition almost. The 14th Street pedestrian overpass bridge. So some of you hadn't seen the finalized design. Thank you to everyone who commented when you saw those 3 options that were posted. We're really looking forward to seeing this, but we'd like to have this again be the catalyst that starts that pathway down 89th Ave, connecting our green spaces, our rec centers, our parks, and gets us from one regional path system to another safely.
This is great. So I can do this now. Lauren, you might need to help me with this.
Yeah.
So I just click it again. Will it play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Play is another part of the planning committee. That's what kind of got me into the planning committee to start with, was adding more play and revitalizing our playgrounds in the neighborhood. So if that's something you're interested in too, please join our planning committee. We looked at kind of the video, the rink one? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So just an update on the natural playground. We are doing phase 2 construction. Was supposed to start a couple weeks ago, but we had the fantastic Get Outside and Play week last week, so we put it on hold, and hopefully it'll start in the next couple weeks. So just a few more items that'll be added to it, as well as some plantings to that one. But just to let everybody know too that we're open for all ages play. So if you had ideas for adults, teenagers, we know they're out there in our neighborhood, we just don't get to see them that much. Where do they hang out? What do they want to do? What do you want to do? We have a lot of green space that's underutilized and just gets mowed, and we can make little nature nooks, we can make gazebos. Oh yeah, there's a fitness park coming to the Southwood Library space this July, pretty much the whole month of July it's there. Temporary installment, but go check it out and see if something like that is something you'd like to see permanently in Haysboro. Maybe fitness park, boot camp, anything. Sky's the limit. Bring us your ideas. Again, when you're traveling, go check out their play spaces and take pictures and bring it to us.
Okay. I was clicking it again. Oh, it didn't work.
Oh, this is just about, we thought it was just about built form, so revitalizing a play space. Little did we know that it's 50-50 with programming. So we lucked out and fell into some fantastic programming opportunities, and we're looking forward to continuing those hopefully this summer with our outdoor play group, which is aimed at 0 to 5. Last year we had the Vivo Play Ambassadors, and then the Get Outside and Play Week that I talked about. But again, if you have ideas for how to activate these spaces or programming that you'd like to see outside, bring those to us as well.
We have a video to show you.
It's the
Put
YouTube
that
one.
on the other one.
Yeah, you can all figure out too.
I'm not on the tech committee.
One of the grants we were.
Do we want to watch the whole thing, or do you want to discuss over to us?
Oh, I had the link to us on that one.
It's all right. It's a 3 minute and 30
Okay.
seconds.
This was a grant we got to redo our outdoor rinks to add some equipment to it.
We were so thrilled to receive the Animal Care Support Grant. It helped us revitalize one of our best community assets at outdoor rinks. We were fortunate to receive new nets. We we are fortunate to get new boards on our rake and also an amazing tractor to help sweep off our rakes during those heavy snowstorms. Previous to receiving the grant, all of our rakes had to be shoveled manually, and this was a large burden for our rake crew because it could take hours on end. Being able to have a tractor to quickly clean off the rakes means that we're actually getting more people out skating. Rakes are not just about sport. We are really creating relationships here. We're creating a place for people to get to know their neighbors. Healthy communities are really about fostering connections. We would really like to express our thanks to the Calgary Lakes Hockey Club, the Southland Foundation, and the Parks Foundation of Calgary. Just not mind touching it. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna jump in.
One last thing on that last one. So that grant is open again in this fall. So if you have any grant ideas for amateur sport grant stuff, bring those to us as well.
Perfect.
No, this is a segue. All right, so I get to speak on behalf of a few people now tonight who weren't able to make it, and really kind of showcase some of the really good things that would have happened in the neighborhood. Tanis, do you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about it? Morgan. Morgan, do you want to talk about it?
Sure.
You know, so we're just going to talk about that because she showed up. Sorry.
No, if you said make it, I'd be fine.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, so I've been involved in two things. The first one is the toy library, which is downstairs. It's we just use an empty space in the hall, and it's all donated toys. So a lot of other parents, like myself, have thought this was a great way to get all the toys that are collected in their basements out of their basements into this place's basement. And we make it just as a service for community members to come take out toys. It's all honor system, and to check them out for 2 weeks or whenever people return them. And so right now it's a lot of toys for like the 0 to 5, 6 age, but we're trying to get more adult toys, like adult board games and puzzles and stuff. So if, as you guys, are clearing to find stuff for your house, if you have board games or things that teenagers like to play, please consider donating them to the library. We think if there's more stuff there to do, maybe we'll have a little more adult games. But yeah, just downstairs, I believe we're just going to open it during the summer when you're in the office, and just come in, and it's all just downstairs. Kids seem to really like it. We have over 100, almost 200 units of toys now, be it board games or like entire giant play structures. So that's great. The other thing I've been involved in is we're calling it Haysboro Rocks, and the event nature park out there has all these great rocks. And my kids love to steal them. My kids are like 3 and 6, and they just think stealing rocks from places is the best thing. So I convinced them that if we painted them, we could return them, like release them back into the wild. And because, crafts. So what we've been doing is we've been painting rocks, we've been glazing them with Mod Podge and returning them to the playground. And it's gone really well. The kids seem to really like playing with, fake fruit or fish or whatever. And so at the outdoor play week last week, we had the kids paint a bunch of rocks. I think we have about 50 rocks or so painted. And as soon as they've been glazed so that the paint won't flake off, they will go out to the playground. And we're going to encourage people to, bring their own painted rocks in. We're going to put some instructions up on the website in case anyone wants to do their own. If your kid has taken some rocks home that are painted, please have them bring it back through the library process where you take it home and then you bring it back later for other kids to play with. Yeah, we would love to have more rocks in the future. It's fun and it's pretty cheap. I think there's some talk about having the youth do some of this over the summer, and yeah, it's fun and it looks cool. So
yeah, thanks, Morgan. Thanks. I love when people are just like, hey, jump on up and get in there. So that's really great. I think the Haysboro Rocks really goes to show what kind of some of the programming that's been happening around our children in the community, and that's Loose Parts Play. So Carrie gave me a speech, and then I forgot it, so I'm just going to ad hoc it for her. But through both Tot Time, so that's our Monday morning drop-in program, aimed for children 0 to 5 and their caregivers, and through our preschool. One of the mandates we've had is to explore Loose Parts Play. So beyond piloting the program at the outdoor park, which we convinced them to keep through the winter, which was a huge hit, we're seeing all these other kind of micro projects pop up that support that. So with the Haysboro Rocks, we now essentially have an extension of our Loose Parts Play that haven't cost us anything, and we've taken what were at one point seen as a huge projectile hazard and made it actually a play element in a more kind of controlled way, but in a very subtle way. And I think, so thank you guys so much. I think it's going to be such a successful program, and I doubt that, in a year or two's time, there'll be any rocks that look like rocks out there. So I just want to touch on the preschool. Our preschool is thriving, it is vibrant. We only have 7 spaces left for next year, so that's almost 4 full classes. I compare that to when my oldest daughter went to preschool, I don't know how many years ago now, 5 years ago now, and we had 3 classes, and none of them were, and only like 1 or 2 of them were full out of the 3. So I think it's actually really a testament to the community and how the community is changing over, but also the great work that the preschool is doing around their programming, and it's becoming a sought after space in the community, not just because it creates great value for the children from a learning component, but also that value of creating community, as parents are able to connect with each other. So that's, so they do, so these are their drums. So one of our parents made drums for the kids. They go on a zoo trip annually. We have skating parties. We have bike day parties. If you went out to the rinks right now, all the bike equipment is out there. So the stop signs and the yield signs. They made a car wash for them this year, which the kids really love going through on their bikes. And we're hoping now that the weather's definitely decent that those will stay out there. Actually, we're hoping we can keep them out there for the rest of the summer so we can have year-long play. Does anyone have any questions about our preschool program? Okay, all right. Elspeth, would you like to talk, or do you just want me to read this for you? Okay. So Elspeth, want to stand up? So Elspeth is the chair of our Seniors Resource Group. And we are so fortunate to have her. She works with that group, and they plan activities for themselves. They do a lovely Christmas lunch. They have a barbecue coming up. Are there still tickets left?
At the door.
Well, I better get there early. Right?
I'm sorry?
I better get there early to lunch if I want to get a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. It's in my calendar. They go on an annual field trip every year, on an annual bus trip, and again, they're providing that really important vital social component in our neighborhood to help our neighbors stay connected to each other. So thank you, Elspeth, and the Seniors Resource Group for all you do in the community. Okay, so we're going to get into some of the highlights from the past year, and I made a video again, so I don't have to talk so much. But far and away, my favorite thing was the t-shirt collaboration that we did with Local Laundry. And we, so it kind of came about in so Local Laundry was doing a crowdfunding campaign to move to all Canadian production. And I happened to kind of be in the throes of my own at the time. And theirs came up, and theirs was hitting a deadline. I threw out this wild email. I don't even know, it was late at night. I was like, we need to do this, everybody jump on board. And it was kind of this crazy 3 hours of spending $2,000. But it has not only created incredible community spirit, but it actually has been one of our most successful fundraisers to date. So that's really great. But money aside, I just love that. Jeremy, which one do you've got the map one on too. So I think the best thing that came out of this is we put this vote out about what t-shirt do you want? Do you want the heritage shirt with the cows, or do you want kind of this more modern version of Haysboro and the map? And it literally, my daughter and I were tallying, as the votes were coming in, it was 2 over here, 3 over here, 5 over here, 4 over here. And it was I swear it was like a 49-51 split, so we got a hold of local entry. We're like, can we do both? Like, is that an option? So we had to double our short order, and we're like, okay. And I think even sales to date, Fiona, if I'm right, they're kind of like 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love it. I love that we get to like, have our map and have our cows, and I think there's a few people who have both, and I really, really love it. So thank you for everyone who's bought a shirt so far, and if you haven't, we've got lots, and we'll continue to order them so that everyone can get them. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm just gonna click go again. I was exhausted making that slideshow. I love it. I love that we have so much going on in our community. And 100% of the events that we do in our community are volunteer driven. And that's everything from applying for grants to make that happen, to the hours of setup and logistics and planning. It's 100% volunteer driven. Maybe we'll say 99. Fiona gives us so much support, but Fiona, I will have to say, like, goes above and beyond her role of an administrator, and she is often that volunteer at those events. So we need to give her an extra round of applause for that. And again, these are all like just really cool grassroots ideas that people have, brought from another community or another event that they're bringing to ours, to our community, and then we're kind of building off that. I mean, I think the AGM's 4 years or 5 years now, like I've totally lost track, but it's been great. It was something that Sonia asked me to do, and then I did it, and then I've been able to pass the torch, and I think Phyllis probably who did it this year. I'm like, are you going to pass the torch next year? Yeah. If someone will take it.
I think both.
All right, but I think that's a really wonderful thing is, as our community grows and changes, there are those, we are getting those people who we can, pass that torch to and move along to.
We just have a question from the live stream.
Oh yeah, sure. Hello, live stream.
How much was made from the shirt sales so far? Fundraiser.
I have no idea off the top of my head.
At the end of March, it was about just under $500.
So at the end of March, it was just under $500. Perfect. Thank you for that question. People are watching. So I just really want to quickly touch on some of the upcoming events and projects that we have going on. So this coming Sunday, we have the Haysboro Playground fundraiser. So yes, we are in the position of having one amazing playground and 3 others that need work. So we are focusing on Haddon Road, which is the one down by the Roads Depot. Just because we see that not only has the city categorized that as having the greatest need, but just in terms of distance and proximity and people that we're serving, that's become the priority. So that's what we're focusing on right now. So that's coming up on Sunday. We're doing a treats and sweets fundraiser. So you can come, bring a picnic dinner, get some popsicles. The Strider bike people will be there for the little kids 0 to 5, and then we actually are going to be building some ramps and rails for the big kids with them. So we'll have hammers and drills and tools for them to build their own bike ramps. And then we're going to look at our liability and see if we can move them back to the hall. Because it's always been in the budget. So this is just like the 2-for-1. We have 10 Millennium benches that were put in the year 2000. And there was always an exercise program that went along with them, and it's kind of faded and kind of fell by the wayside. We have a couple individuals along with Fiona who have decided that they need some love and TLC. So we're going through the process of actually talking about the ownership of those benches because some of them are in disrepair. But I think more importantly, we need to just bring awareness to them. So we're working through a mind-body workout program. So there will be actually a physical exercise at every bench, but there will also be a meditation at every bench. And so we're working through creating that program. And as there's 10 benches, we're going to take 10 weeks starting in the beginning of July and introduce one a week. And you can go to the bench with your kids, with your dogs, with your neighbors, and do the circuit and learn about some maybe spaces in Haysboro that you've never seen before. So that's really great. In September, we have a community cleanup schedule with the City of Calgary. We're looking for someone who could help lead that event and gather a group of volunteers to just kind of help manage that day. So if that sounds like you, please let me or Fiona know. We would love to redo the scavenger hunt again this year. I'd love to pass that torch on and do a little less event planning and see if there's someone who'd be willing to kind of organize that. I've got all the framework. I'll pass it off. But honestly, was one of like the least volunteer-intensive events that we've ever run, because basically people showed up, got their package, and left and had a great time. So that's another one. We'd love to throw a volunteer appreciation party in October. Our volunteer director, Lauren, has had to step down. She's had some other commitments she needs to attend. So beyond needing a volunteer director, we'd actually just love someone to take on thanking all the lovely people who've helped us in helping organize the event. And I think we've identified a space that will not only give us a space and some staff so that we actually don't have to be serving ourselves because we want to relax. And then in 2019, and we've already started this project, we're actually looking to do an update in the lounge on the tables and the chairs and some of the extra furnishings that go along there to make that space a little more functional, update it, and replace actually some of the broken and failing pieces that are in there. So if you're keen to help out with that, you can talk to Jay or me. So there's just that. So one of the programs I want to talk about that's ongoing, or it's kind of just kicked off, we, for the second year in a row, have a summer student. And this year we decided our mandate would be to capture a population in our neighborhood that doesn't really have any programming around them, and that would be our youth. And so we're targeting kids kind of grades, going into grade 5, grades 5 through 9, but also to look at gathering volunteers in the older children, so grades 10 through 12, to kind of help out. And we're going to create a space for them to exist within the community, to bring their own ideas, and really the programming will be centered around their needs, their interests. And so Augusta, will you stand up? So this is Augusta. She is our summer student, so she is in charge of all the 10 to 15-year-olds in the neighborhood. So if you can't find them, your 10 to 15-year-old, call Augusta. She may know where they are. But she's working on some programming. She's got some great ideas, and she doesn't say words like hip. She actually knows how to talk to them. And then I'm trying to convince her that at the end of the summer, she's going to teach the rest of us how to speak youth. Like what are the cool words these days? So we're really excited to have her on board, and so she'll be with us throughout the summer. Ideally, we would find someone to take over the program and run it throughout the school year, but I think to focus on the summer will be a really nice touch and to give those kids a sense of place in our community. So we're moving along. Okay, so we need your talent. So I know I look around the room and I actually see so many of you who are involved already. So think about your neighbors. Think about your friends, think about who's super talented in the neighborhood, and these are just some of the things that we need. So we are having some board members leave us this year. They have families, they have commitments, they have other things to do, and I'm going to talk about those people in a minute. And so we need to fill some roles. So these are just some of, and this is not all, this is not the extensive list, because ultimately you get to be like Sonia and just make up your own title if you want to. It's totally okay. It's totally okay. There's nothing in the bylaws that says it has to say this. You just get to make it up. But I think you don't even have to necessarily sit on the board. We're actually looking for people to bolster our committees, because that's where a lot of the work happens, and that's where a lot of the ideas are generated, and that's kind of where we really actually develop those neighborhood connections. I mean, we work really well as a board, and we've got a lot of really great inside jokes. Please come be a part of it. I mean, they are kind of funny. I don't know. Are they? Get to say disagree with me, totally. Yeah. And I like to think we have fun and we keep it lighthearted and we work all together, but there's needs everywhere. So, and then the other thing is like I said, everything we've done from rocks to the toy library, it's just a resident-led initiative. So some ideas that have come up, you know, we've got playground rebuilds. We talked the other night, we hosted 12 people here to talk about their interest in joining, you know, up the community association, what the good things we can do. So a little free library network. The community garden is one that comes up over and over and over again. So if someone wants to take on the logistics of that. We talked about doing a plant exchange. And so there's some really good things. So one of the community-led initiatives I want to speak to is something called Garden On. And Lee's here. So Lee, okay. I wasn't gonna miss it. So Lee, she just decided that there are all these communities with community gardens and gardeners. And then we were in touch with a lady named Janet Melrose, who was helping us with some events and activities. And we just saw this need for this sharing of information, the sharing of knowledge. And so Lee, along with some of the other community garden directors, have formed a coalition called Garden On. So they're doing a monthly talk. They are exchanging their ideas. They're changing their plants probably. But it's a really great way for us to network within our own city in a kind of really, in a really unique way. So similar to the planning coalition, now we have a gardening coalition. So I mean, maybe we'll get we get people talking about the playground, we'll get a play coalition. So I think it's really important that we recognize, you know, while we're unique as a community and we have our own needs, that there are lots of other people who are around us and near us who have similar interests as well. And so working with them strengthens us and kind of spreads the workload a little bit. So those are just some of the things. If you have really great ideas, bring them, send them, email them. I mean, we hear the good ideas all the time, but we really actually need you to kind of step up and implement them too. So what's next? Elections. Okay, so before we get to elections, I get to say really nice things about people. I didn't do it at the beginning, and partly because there were some changes happening to the board, and it just sort of seemed worthwhile to lump it kind of all at this time of day. So for the past year, I just want to go over who's who. So I'm Courtney, and I'm the president. Maxine is here. She is our past president. So Maxine served you served for 3 years. As president, don't ask me what the years were before me, right? That's how it works. And so she continues to provide guidance and support and sits on our executive level committee. Yeah, actually, you have been a great resource and support. And she's very level-headed, and she can always see both sides of things, and she knows all the people, so she can give you all the names. So I'm really thankful to have her as our past president. Thank you. Miriam is our treasurer. How many years now?
I'm not sure.
20 plus?
20
plus years.
23 maybe.
Okay, so like if there's ever a person who's given their life to community, this is Miriam. And we are so very grateful for it. Because, you know, she hears our really great ideas, and she's like, oh my God, I think like the last couple of years, she's like, oh my God, all these people, all they want to do is spend money. But, you know, she always reminds me, like, don't forget there's probably a grant for that. But I think, you know, beyond that, she does a lot of our grant writing for us too. So some of those big grants, the CFEP, the CCG, those big grants, she's doing a lot of the writing for too. And I think this is really her part-time retired job. And so we're very thankful to have you and your knowledge and expertise. Then there's Lauren, who's been our secretary for the last 2 years. She's the one who thinks there's not enough infighting in the board. So if you're like scrappy,
Join the board.
Lauren wants you to join the board. But she's leaving, so maybe we'll just be like more catty behind her back. I don't know. So Lauren is leaving us. She has some other volunteer commitments that she would like to focus on. So we are really grateful for the past 2 years of her service. So thank you, Lauren. I have a card for you. Or we have a little card for you. So Lauren will be through, She will see us through to the end of June, so if there is a person who would like to take on that secretary role, she'll be able to mentor them into that position over the next month. And again, that would be a decision made at the end of June on who would be taking that role, but if that's something that you would be interested in, she would be the person to get a hold of, and she can tell you how easy it is, right? Yeah, it's totally easy. Our secretary also does sit on our executive, so she helps balance us out and gives us some sound advice and sage wisdom as well. So Adrian's not able to make it tonight. He was our facilities director. And I'm sure it's been at least 6 years since he's been on board, 5 or 6 years. Adrian's stepping down as our facilities director. He would like to spend some more time with his family. He's an accountant as well, and he's finding himself very busy and just feeling like he's not able to give the time that he would like to give to the community association. So one of the big things that Adrian did was manage our rain crew in the winter and make sure that they had everything they need and gathered that group. And so we will definitely be looking for someone to replace him, and maybe that's not as a facilities director, but as a leader of that group. So he will be missed. So we're looking for a facilities director, and he's not here, but we have a card for him too. So, Jason has been our membership director for the past year, and I spoke to it a little bit earlier. He's really been focused on making those connections with the business community, and he's been helping with the lounge renovation and seeing how that would serve our members to create kind of a new vibrant space for us to connect with each other and to host our events. And to actually pull tables together that it's comfortable to put more than 3 people around. And he helped with the membership event, and so he's been a great asset to the community association. So he just stepped up last year, and he's done a ton of work this past year. So thank you. So I know you think you haven't, but you have. So Steven Snell is back there. Waving. So Stephen's been our director. He's been director at large for a couple of years now, and he always makes us think a little harder, asks some of the hard questions, but he's there to also kind of, especially when it comes to planning matters, provide some thoughtful insight, kind of on the direction that we're taking. So thank you for that, Stephen. Jonathan Hamill here. He's director at large. He also sits on our planning committee. And John is like the information guy. I'll like throw out an email, be like, hey, I'm curious how many secondary suite applications, and then John's like, who? Like he knows, I think, the city website inside out. So he's been a really, really great asset for us in that respect, that he's been able to kind of pull up some of that information and data fairly quickly and make it fairly accessible to us so that we understand what it is that we're looking at and talking about. So thank you, John, for that. I'm going through my list and it's totally not. So Elspeth, I mentioned, she's our seniors resource group chair. Thank you. Do I have to say more nice things about you? I really like your scarf.
Thank you.
I'll say that. Sonia at the back is our planning director and planning and playful director. Sonia, it's been so many years. I'm not gonna, because it'll just be like waterworks. So I'm not even gonna. I'm just gonna say thank you because I see all the hard work you're doing. I think the biggest change is Sonia started working full-time this year. I think it was something that was kind of supposed to be part-time and then it's kind of moved up to full-time. But she is still every bit as much dedicated to the community and making sure that planning is happening in our neighborhood. And she's gone above and beyond, started networking with those other community associations, like through the coalition. And that's been, I think, invaluable and a huge resource and a huge support to not feeling isolated and alone as a community association. So I thank you for that. Marisol's back here. So she started as our communications director this past year. And Marisol and Stephen always has come as a pair. And I often wonder when they go home from board meetings, how often they like agree or disagree on the things that came up. Like it's kind of one of those like things I wonder about. It doesn't keep me up at night, but I wonder at home, who gets the final say.
I do.
Okay. I mean, I knew that. I was just trying to be a little political about it. Again, same thing. You bring thoughtful insight to our conversations, and I really appreciate that. Lauren, our volunteer director, I mentioned she's not here. She's been a wonderful resource to connect with our volunteers this past year. And then Nancy's not here. And Nancy's still a little undecided, I think, on whether or not she's staying on the board or not. She's expecting her first child. So naturally, I think she's going to be a little busy. So I think we might just kind of relieve her of any obligation for the next year and see where she's at after that. Igor is also not here. Igor joined our board. I think we finally voted him in. I think he started hanging out with us in January, and I think March we finally got around to, he had to keep skipping out to go to basketball. So March we finally got around to voting him on the board. And he is a chain management specialist. So he's really excited to kind of help us, through the next phase, through renovation, and to see how we can kind of capitalize on some of our facility operations, so that we can make more money, to spend more money on our programs and events. That's kind of the long and short of what he's excited to do. So with that.
We have one more person we haven't spoken about, and that's Julie O'Brien.
Oh, I did not speak about Julie. Yeah, so Julie, Julie is our casino director. Yes. So she, every 18 months to 2 years, collects everybody, and she makes us all work really late at night. And I think, when you work out, when you do a casino, you end up making something like $2,000 an hour for your community or something, ridiculous number like that. Don't quote me on that. But it really is kind of that every 18 months to 2 years, that really valuable money maker that we have, that we're provided with. And so for those who, take the day off work, because we know there are people who take the day off work to volunteer, and for those who stay up late, we are so, so grateful. So, and I did miss 2 other people, so I better talk about that. So Miranda's also not here tonight. She's joined us as our board editor, and that's really wonderful. So she compiles all the posters and articles and everything that we send to her every month, and she makes sure that goes to our publisher, so that's great. And then Ellen is here. Ellen, wave your hand. Ellen has joined us as a reporter for Haysboro. So she's going to be out and about at a lot of our events, and she's going to be taking pictures and writing articles and telling all the nice stories about all the great people in our neighborhood. And I when I talk about how the people in our neighborhood are super, super important, Ellen's just the right person, because she's going to capture that. And everything I've written, or everything that she's written that I've read so far, has been absolutely beautiful, and I'm super excited to see, what she's going to continue to contribute to us, and so I'm excited, and so that's what's happening. So, now, thank you to everybody. Round of applause for the board. So, now we need to re-elect all those people who want to stay on the board, and ask for new people to join the board. So the following current directors are letting their names stand for re-election: Maxine Morrison, Miriam Mitchell, Elspeth Crawford, Sonia Celine, Julie O'Brien, Marisol Navarez, Stephen Snell, Nancy Sanborn, Jonathan Hamill, Jason Flanagan, Igor Goldberg, and myself, Brittany Brady. So I will ask, are there any other names to stand to join the board? Stefan, can you spell your, so Stefan, and last name? Bell. That's really easy one. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We can applause that. And in the corner we have Diane Ward. Yeah. So Diane, D-I-A-N-E, Ward, W-A-R-D. Perfect. Okay. All right. My notes say I have to ask 3 times. It's called peer pressure. Are there any other names to stand? I will ask one more time. Are there any other names to stand? All right. Can I have a motion to accept the names of sorry, I'm going to read that again. Can I have a motion to accept the director's name en bloc?
I motion to accept nominations of board en bloc.
Perfect. Can I get a second? Thank you, Elspeth. All in favor? Thank you guys so much, and we are super excited to have Stefan and Diana join us. And Stefan actually joined us at our last board meeting, and Diana and I have had the chance to talk. And I'm really excited for them to bring their fresh ideas and vibrancy into the board and get to know all our inside jokes. Perfect. I am going to turn it over to Miriam for our president nomination.
Hello again. I have the pleasure to talk about Courtney Brannigan. I'd like to nominate her to the position of president again this year. I've worked very closely with Courtney and really got to know her within the year. I'm very impressed. As you can see, we've done a lot of things. A lot of these are Courtney's ideas. She is a worker. I find she's on the same page financially. She understands the numbers. She understands what things cost. She, as I said, is an idea person and is somebody who's willing to put the ideas forward and make them happen. She has worked and got to know really everybody on our board personally, which really just helps you work better when you trust somebody. I trust her explicitly. As I said, I'm super impressed and really delighted to have worked with her. It's been a great year for us. So I would like to nominate Courtney Brannigan to the president's role. Could somebody? No, I think
Any other nominations?
Yeah, I'm nominating you. Are there any other nominations from the floor to the position of president? Again, are there any other nominations from the floor to take the role of president? You scary people. And one more time, is there anybody else who'd like to stand for nomination as president? The nominations are closed. Yes.
I would like to motion, I'm honored to be able to motion to elect Courtney Brannigan for the 2018-19 year to stand as president.
I can second it. Can we have a vote, all in favor? Anybody opposed? None opposed, motion carried. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
No, because I skipped over item 12.
Okay.
And 13, so I should go back to that.
Okay, so I'm gonna hand the microphone back to Courtney as our new president.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I totally skipped over items 12 and 13 on purpose, but I'm going to go back to them right now. So item number 12 is a couple volunteer thank yous. These are two people that stand out in my mind as giving to the community. They're people I see around the building, on the streets. They are people, kids know my name. They're people, their parents know my name. So first I'd like to call Elise forward. Yes, you should come up. So Elisa sat as our preschool chair. I don't even actually know how many, I was like trying to like mentally calculate it out and I just decided that wasn't worth it. So Elisa sat as our preschool chair for how many years?
For 7 years.
For 7 years, okay, so her youngest goes to kindergarten next year. And so she is stepping down as preschool chair. But she's for sure not done because she's already volunteering over the school all the time. Anyways, you guys have seen what a fantastic program our preschool has been. Elise has always advocated for families. She's always advocated for students. She has worked closely with her teachers and with the rest of, I should not be doing this. She's worked with the rest of our parent committee, and I love going to those meetings, and that's such a wonderful group of people, and I think that you bring such a kind, loving spirit to that, and I just really, really thank you for the past 7 years that you have given, because preschool has been amazing, having been through it. And I haven't been. All right. Do
Do you want to say anything?
I'll just say it's not hard to be passionate about a preschool program like ours. It takes a good community to have such a great program as well, and all these parents and teachers are very invested. It was not a hard 7 years, it was a lot of fun.
Perfect, thank you, Elise. Yeah. So, Jason, now you get to come up. So I texted Cinnamon, Jason's wife, so many times over the last couple of days. I'm like, please make Jason come, please make Jason come, because I know this is for sure out of your comfort zone. But I don't know if you guys saw in the video, Jason was the one driving our tractor. But Jason has done so much more than drive our tractor. He's actually just been the person who's kept that tractor alive all winter. Trying to. He gives so many hours to the community association, and he's often that quiet guy moving about. I think Fiona could probably speak to it even better than I could. Yeah. He has worked tirelessly on the ranks for probably forever, right?
Yeah.
For a little.
Along with everybody else that comes there too.
Well, and it's hard. It's so hard to call out just one person. But I know you spent a lot of time on that tractor, and we're really appreciative of that because I think that is such a staple piece of equipment that we have. So we just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Do you want to say anything?
That's a mean snow blower on 12th Street.
And see, this is the thing. It's like these are the people that are here and they're there and they're kind of like everywhere. Anyway, so quickly, do you guys have any questions for us as a board, for the community association? Anything pressing that we can answer for you that came out of anything? Yes.
If you want to join a committee, how do we just contact the person? Or?
Yeah, so you can, I'm also always here, so myself or Fiona, and then we'll put you in touch with the person who's chairing that committee, and if no one's chairing that committee, then it defaults to you. Yes, ma'am.
Now that we're actually in the building, what are the renos that are going to be done?
What are the renos? Yeah, so we had hoped to have renderings, and we do have them, but the colors were really bad. And so we didn't want to show you with the bad colors. So the project that's happening this summer is the exterior of the building. So beyond woodpecker holes and puck dents and simply just an aging facade, there are actually some structural issues around the front entranceway that need to be addressed as well. And we're looking at updating the ramp for accessibility, primarily to come to the main landing where Fiona's office is. Just, as we do have a senior population, they do need to get in to see her, and those stairs are steep, and they will be changing as part of the project, but just to give an alternate means of an entrance for those who need it. And then there's the shed, which will replace the C-CAN with equipment, so our snow and lawn care equipment will go in the shed, and that will be kind of where this fenced-in area is on the west side of the building. So it'll be getting an update. So it's gone to tender. We'll have those back towards the end of June. And heads up board will be deciding on who we're going to go with, and then construction will start very quickly after that. So the building will remain open during construction. We may have to close the front entrance for a portion of it and reroute and move the office, or just rejig where Fiona is in the building for a little while and where preschool, comes and goes from. But the building will remain operational as far as we've been told, except for perhaps the front entrance for a small component. Okay. Yes.
I have a question with regards to the senior snow removal and lawn care program.
Yeah.
Why were the expenses like almost $34,000, and then the revenue was only like $35,000?
So why don't we make very much money on it?
What are the expenses?
So we pay people to do the shoveling and the mowing. So one of the great things about that program is not only are we serving the seniors in our community, we're actually serving people who would like to make some extra cash. So we have a lot of youth in the wintertime who do some shoveling. I think, do we have any youth that are mowing lawns this summer?
Yeah, we have 2.
We have 2 youth mowing lawns. So it's such a win-win in our community because we're serving so many people through the program, through both employment and service.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Do you have any other questions? Awesome. So now we can get on to all of our guest speakers who come today and join us.
Jeremy had to leave.
Okay.
He said he had another engagement at 8:30.
Yeah. Well, he didn't see that it was our SVP. I don't know, but okay. But so Hill is here, and he's going to talk on behalf of Emily and Adam Chasm. So quickly before you talk, just as an FYI for everybody, in the next provincial election, we are changing ridings. So the boundaries were redrawn. So we will now be in Calgary Acadia, FYI. So we are currently in Calgary Glenmore, and we are moving to Calgary Acadia. So just, if you start getting flyers, which I've already started getting flyers, that is why. So don't be confused, it's the real thing. All right, so Hill, now you get to talk and tell us about all the good things in Calgary Glenmore.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kobe, and on behalf of Emily and Kazim, let me first thank you all very much for sharing your views and concerns, and you are doing a tremendous work and work for this community indeed. And let me congratulate you once again for your re-election, for the position of president, and all
We're the lucky people.
all the re-elected board members, of course. I actually presented the updates just last week probably at the board meeting, so don't have anything very special, just want to thank you all very much, and let me just talk on behalf of Emily and Kazim. I wish you all the best, and in French we say bon continuation, that is continue on. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And I love it. So I don't know if you haven't had a chance to meet Anam, this kind of sums her up like to a T. She's a lot of fun, and every time she comes to do a chat presentation to us, we have to like pose super funny. She's like the queen of selfies, like that. She's got the selfie down, like super mastered. So we'll be sad to lose her super fun and exciting spirit, because she is a partier. She likes to party with us. So I'll just let you guys know about that. So I guess Jeremy had to go somewhere else. I didn't know that he had to leave by a certain time, so apologies. Also, I have no idea that it was 5 to 9 because I've been looking at the clock back there that clearly needs battery changed. So I'm sorry. I was like, we are doing amazing. I was looking at my actual watch. I just was like watching that, and it's clearly been like 6:30 forever. I feel like I guess maybe I should have worn my glasses. So I apologize. Well, we are getting close to the end. There is Jeremy's contact information, and you can connect with him, and maybe he'll talk next year. I guess we'll find out what time he has to leave.
He bought a t-shirt.
He bought a t-shirt.
Yes.
He bought a t-shirt. He's got it, and so maybe he can grab some Haysboro for us. So there's that. And that's it. So, before you go, I have 2 other really important things to tell you. So the first is there's beer afterwards.
Are we going to do a motion to adjourn?
Well, we will, but I better just say these things before everyone gets up and rushes to the beer. So there's beer afterwards. And also, the simplest fundraiser ever that you can help, they can help us with is through the whole month of June. If you buy Village beer, save your receipt, bring it to Fiona, and then we submit a little form, and we instantly get 15% back because you drank beer. It's like the best rebate ever. So make sure you drink lots. So just you can go back to your regular beer in July. For June, it's Village. Okay, just so we got that straight. And I usually tell Cam at Heritage Liquor to stock up on Village in June, so don't worry about it running out.
Should we get this back to you?
Yes.
If you're a Capitals fan, Jason's hosting a Capitals game here on Thursday at 6 o'clock.
Sorry, what sport's that again?
Hockey.
Sorry.
They want to
What about it? Just kidding. What was that again? What night?
Thursday at 6 o'clock.
Thursday night, 6 o'clock. There's a hockey game here.
Hot dogs,
It's
beer,
one
and
team
chips.
versus another. All right. Okay. So we've sort of been receiving updates from the city on the old YMCA site, and they originally said demolition was going to start the middle of June, and then we got an email that said, oh no, it's the middle of July, and then I drove by there today, and they've got like a whole bunch of brick facing ripped off. So I don't actually know when it's happening.
Well, they're doing the abatement right now, so that'd be part of the asbestos.
So they're doing the abatement right now. So I guess, but the actual demolition, so I don't know, I would be great, like, I really want to find out, like, are they blowing it up, like, to general? Like, what's that?
We can't with the asbestos.
This asbestos has to be removed. It has to be abated first, and then we'll
So we don't get a show in Haysboro, okay, that's totally fine. But, the good news is there is a really lovely group who is looking at that site, and that's the Kirby Center, and Zane, who is their board president, is here with us tonight, so if you actually have any questions about where their project is at and moving forward, I have questions too. He doesn't actually know either.
It's okay. Well,
It's okay.
Do you want me to give you a 2-minute update?
Yes.
Yeah, actually we do. I know I'm just putting you on the spot, but.
Okay, well, I don't need my.
Okay.
So I really don't have a lot that I can share because we don't have everything finalized yet. We've put a year, we put more than that, but really a year of intensive work, working with the city, with REDS, Real Estate and Economic Development Services, in putting forward a motion. We already have a motion, but fulfilling that motion to council. And in that, we're asking for that land. And also, some of that land is owned by the city, and some is owned by YMCA, where the tennis courts are. So it's kind of complicated. And what it was that land that the city owned, they had it leased to the YMCA for 99 years. There were still like 40-some years in that lease, so they had to diminish that lease and park that lease and do a whole bunch of stuff. So we have put forward an entire information package, given that to REDS. REDS is going through it. That'll be presented to the Utilities Committee, whatever that is. Ward Sutherland is in charge of head of that committee. That will be reviewed in June, middle of June. No, pardon me, goes there in July. And then we will go to City Council. That'll be presented to City Council the July 30th meeting. What we're asking for is a 4-year lease initially, to put together a program and a plan to utilize that land, and that will give us the ability to approach the provincial and the federal government for funding, and then also local private investors, well, not investors, but philanthropists. And once we do that, then in that 4-year period, we would be looking at getting all the zoning redone by the city and getting all the building permits in place, starting construction. From the date of starting construction to the date of completion of construction would be 2 years is what we put together. And then after that, it would roll into a 60-year lease. So the city would still own the land. It would still be an equitable thing for the community here. And, you know, the things that we want to put there, we call like the Next Generation Senior Center. We've done a lot of research. We went on an Odyssey program, actually. The CEO of a consultant went to 14 different senior citizens type drop-in facilities all over North America to see what they did that was good, what they wish they would have done, what they shouldn't have done. So we've put a lot of work into this. We've literally spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get to where we are so far.
Excuse me.
And we have talked to the community here in Haysboro. We talked to the Kingsland community, and everybody seems to be very eager to have us here because we think it's a real benefit. Yes?
Well, I'm a little confused. I'm kind of new to the whole story here. Are you talking about just the part where the tennis courts are? Or the whole?
No, it would,
who are you then?
You know what,
Are you
the direction we were given from City Council is that part of that land would go to us, and then a part would be reserved, and they could do something else with it, whether that would be senior housing, whether that would be something civic like a library, whether it would be a library with housing on top of it, that would be carved off one end, potentially the end closer to the church, but we don't know. We don't know. We're just trying to work with city council. It was kind of vague what they asked us to do, and so we've done a bunch of different scenarios hoping that something fits well with them. We are not looking at running that residential end. That wouldn't be us. The Kirby wouldn't do that. We're not in real estate. We're not in housing. But what we're encouraging the city to look at is something that is not more than like 4 or 6 stories high. Well, that's their ball of wax. What we're looking at would be, depending on the FAR, which is your intensity and density, we'd be looking at 2 to 3 stories, depending on how much square foot meterage we get. One of the interesting things that I discovered is that of all the wards in the city, this ward has the largest over 55 community of any ward in Calgary.
Yes.
We will service the entire city as the Kirby does right now downtown, the west side of the downtown. We have by postal code representation membership of every postal code in the city. But it's kind of cool coming here because this, I think, is a well-established community with citizenship that would really benefit from it.
So you're
Yes.
gonna have a lot of parking? Are people mostly gonna be driving in? Because I don't know what they do downtown. Do they
I'm
mostly
just gonna,
drive in?
hey, Ellen, I'm gonna table that and let you have that conversation with Zane.
Oh,
Just want him to give a quick overview.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about that over beer.
Yeah.
So
Because
just to
I
sum
do,
it up,
yeah.
right now, we will have a lot more information by August 1st. Well, depending on how long that city council meeting goes. You've gone to city council, and it is. I think
There's a
that everybody should have to
library
go
with you. We'll
to
check it out.
council for 3 days, and then you would have a much better idea of how things work in the city.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Zane, thank you so much for coming tonight. So, yeah, thank you. Just so you guys know, and part of the package that they have sent on is a letter of support from the Haysboro Community Association.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure. So we've been, so Zane and then Luann, who's CEO of Kirby, we've been working with them for quite a while on this now. Basically since last July when the motion came forward. And talking about that site, and we see it as a real catalyst for Haysboro, especially around Heritage Station and all the great things that could come from it. So we're really excited to help them move forward with this project. And there's a very good chance that we'll be sitting with you through council on the 30th to advocate for you as well.
Great.
So just so you guys know, we're fully on board with Kirby, or the Next Generation Senior Center, whatever you decide to be. Yeah, you'll come up with a funky acronym. So I would, I'll make it. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting and go drink beer? Okay, Elspeth?
Motion to adjourn the 2008.
Oh, Stephen's making a motion. Can I get a second? Elspeth, you can second that. Or Igor wants his name on the minutes. Igor's putting his name on the minutes, okay?
Adjourn it all by yourself.
All in favor? Well, we better just in case someone else wants to talk. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna get the beer out of the fridge, and or you can just have tea. And then you can ask questions of anybody that you need to.
Thank you.